How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting, and welcome to the Insanity. Yeah, we're at the point now where things go downhill. So Tomataki-san and Takano, they both were found dead. They still had the throat ripping out, but but her corpse was found burned, like in one of those cages, I think. But outside the county, and that's implying that maybe the vanishing is still going to happen, because the idea of the vanishing is that people just disappear. They don't ever find the bodies or anything. And so there's the two people who were killed, and then two people who get vanished. And part of the vanishing seems to be, a feasting. So that sounds horrifying. And I imagine last time it was scary, and the death's brutal. Didn't think it could get worse, but I think it's going to get worse. So, yeah. And the thing is, because it was of the intrusion at the warehouse, it looks like it might be Keiichi and Shion next, which is just insane. So, yeah, but we're also seeing the breakdown. Keiichi can't handle it. Of course he can't. He's not only is he, in a very crazy situation, he's also pretty young. He's a kid, so... yeah, it's not great. Not good at all. So, also to clear things up, I kind of went on a rant the last time where I talked about he got the phone call and it was like a girl, but then we heard another character with the same name who was also making phone calls looking for the mayor and who's gone missing. And I was like, oh, maybe it was the same person, but something's messing with his mind. I went on this paranoid rant, and in hindsight, when I was editing, I was also like, okay, that's not that. Not right. And then some comments were made from people that pointed something out that should have been really obvious. But again, one of those things where the downside of not being very integrated with Japanese culture, it kind of went over my head in the heat of the moment. But people are often referred to, unless you're very, very close to them, by their family name. So you can have two different people who are calling who will introduce themselves with the same name, unless their name would be the same in the text. But it wasn't the same person. It was just probably different members of that family who were doing a phone. They used to call them phone trees. I remember when I was really little, hearing, being told about how this worked for emergency situations. The idea being that if word needed to get out and there was no good way to get a message out to everybody, the phone tree was kind of like this message system where basically you would be put into this chart. And the idea was that someone would make a phone call to three different people in a community, a group, or a local area. And then each of those people would then call three other people and would branch out to make sure that word could get out quickly if there was a need for people to gather or for people to mobilize, or if they needed to just get something out there. So that's essentially what I think we're seeing here, because I imagine that was pretty common in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So we probably were just seeing the effects of that, and it was from the family who were, concerned about one of their missing members. So that's really what it was likely, and that makes a lot more sense. And I'm grateful to those who reached out, because not only were people very good about pointing that out, but there's also a lot of concern where people were worried that pointing that out might be considered a spoiler. I don't think so. But I'm grateful that you were cautious, because it seems like such a small detail, but the fact that you were worried enough to be careful, or even give me the option saying hey, this might be a spoiler, so if you don't want to know my tidbit about this, just don't read on. Really appreciate that. That's such a big thing for me, because it lets me have these great moments and revelations if we manage to avoid that. And that's one of the best things about having a much smaller community. Obviously, I'd love for the community to get big enough where I could make this something full time. But the nice thing is that we're very insular, and the people who are here are likely here because they really care about the content and the stories that we're sharing. And I feel like that's a trouble they get when you get really, really big. I've seen Twitch live streams or even YouTube content where people are playing a game that's really story heavy, and there's always some jerk who's in there trying to spoil everything. And so I would have to, if that started happening, I'll have to start ignoring comment sections altogether, just because I wouldn't want to spoil anything, and that would suck, because that's a really fun way for me to interact with everybody. So thank you for all being so considerate about that, and I'm really grateful for it. Anyway, we're going to continue on to the next day. Again, this is the part of the story where chapters can get really long. Most of the time I try to do it, because we learned that each chapter tends to be a day, start of the day to going to bed. That's the pattern. And so we'll see if I can maintain that, but I'm also not going to push things too hard because this is the point where so much content kind of starts coming together and days can have just so much happening. I'll probably just stop when I've gotten to like the hour mark, as long as it feels not too close to the end. So we'll see. Anyway, let's go. Enough ranting, enough monologuing. There was no way I'd be able to sleep. When she hung up the phone like that, I realized for the first time what kind of situation I was in, as well as the only ally who would support me was. I waited with bated breath for Shion to calm down and call me back. What would I do if the phone rang while I was sound asleep? Again, it sucks that he doesn't know, or maybe they didn't have this in Japan, but like I think it was like star 69, where you could call back whoever last called you. Like it's too bad he doesn't know that. What if the phone rang while I was sound asleep? No matter how long I waited, however, it never rang. Exhausted, whenever my mind started to wander, I was jolted awake as though I heard the phone ring. In the end, I brought the cordless phone with me into the futon and went to sleep with it in my arms. Though it still didn't amount to anything. Morning came, and by that time, I was pretty sure she wasn't calling back. That was when a fierce drowsiness assailed me. I slapped myself in the face a few times. Then I went to the washroom, washed my face, and which was something I usually didn't do. That wasn't enough either, so I even brushed my teeth. I mean, you should be doing that anyway. After that, I was finally wide awake. When Mom saw how strange I was acting, her eyes went wide.
どうしたの、ケイイチ? 今日はどこかにお出かけでもするの?
It's like, no, I just didn't sleep.
学校に
It's Saturday, isn't it? Oh, no, I guess not. What? Retta, don't jump scare us like that. You can't just do that. Boy, this is sounding familiar.
やっぱり風邪かな。
風邪じゃなくて寝不足なんだ。寝ぼけてわけのわかんないことを言い出したらフォローよろしくな。
Oh, that's my default state, spacing out and starting to talk nonsense. That's just my everyday life. I almost feel bad for my coworkers. Excuse me. Because when I really get a full head of steam, especially towards the end of shift, because I work 10-hour shifts, and so by the end of the shift, it can be pretty exhausting. Normally, it's not too bad, but there's just those days where things are more intense, so you're just kind of going and going and going, and eventually you get to that point where I get kind of like loopy, tired, and just exhausted, and I just start talking, and I don't really, I talked about before how one of the cool things about this channel is it lets me be me, where normally I really don't get to express myself, or if I do, I imagine I just get odd looks and I'm considered pretty strange. I think that happens anyway, but when I start getting more stream of consciousness, where I start just kind of talking off the surface of my mind and not like holding so much back, I know it's weird. I definitely am a strange person. I'm kind of proud of that though. I like that I approach things in my own way. I like how immersed I get in these like stories and these different worlds, but it's definitely makes me feel like an island, where I think all of us feel like that in some regard, but at the same time, I can see like my coworkers, they get along really good and they talk really well and they have these very flowing natural conversations, and I really feel like I'm a third wheel in all of that. And again, it's not an isolated experience. A lot of people feel like that, but it still means a lot to me that sometimes I don't feel like I connect with people around me as much as I wish I could. Sometimes I can. If I find the right people who share interests with me, I can still feel that connection, that bonding, but even then I feel like I end up holding myself back a lot. This is probably the closest I get to being just myself, is a channel, and that helps because it's just me. I get to talk. I know you're there and I know you're listening, but it's also just me, which is nice. Yeah, and that's how I imagine most of you are reacting, like, oh, you silly weirdo.
ケイイチくん、寝ぼけたらどんなこと喋り出すのかな
Uh-huh.
ちょっと楽しみかも。はう。
I felt utterly shattered, and I still hadn't picked myself back up from this morning. For precisely that reason, Rena's honest smile was a sight for sore eyes.
よ、ケイちゃんにレナ。おはよ。
Oh boy, you look downturned
あれれ
too.
みーちゃんもなんだか寝不足な感じだよ。
Mion had gone home early yesterday with a hangover, but she didn't look too good this morning either. Her usual cheerfulness was completely buried in shadow.
寝たの3時ぐらいだからね。眠い。
3時？昨日に続いてか？おいおい。夜更かしにも限度ってもんがあるぞ。
You're one to talk.
大方漫画の単行本が面白くなっちゃって、一巻から読破してしまったんだろ。俺にも経験があるぞ。
I joked, trying to shake off my sleepiness. I was trying to be considerate. However, neither Mion nor Rena smiled. In fact, they didn't even pay attention. Rena's expression immediately darkened.
あれ、ひょっとして村長さんのこと？
Right.
まだ見つかってないの？
うん。
おい、ちょっと待ってくれ。村長さんが見つかってないって、何の話だ？
Even the classroom, which was normally bursting with bright, joking voices, seemed filled with distant sort of murmur today.
おはようございます、ケイチさん。
Okay.
聞きました？なんだか大変なことになりましたわね。
俺はその村長さんって人をよく知らないんだが、ボケて徘徊してるだけじゃないのか？
You met the dude. He was at the Curry Festival.
村長さんはボケてなんかいませんですわ。お習字も教えるし、剣道も教える、はつらつな方でございますの。
That's an interesting combo, calligraphy and swordsmanship. Though I recall that does tend to come together.
僕と同じで、きっとどこかで迷子なのですよ。
I was about to say, what do you mean, like you? But then it was like when she got lost in Onikakushi. Not Onikakushi, in Oishi. Like what's the town name? The other town name? Onikakushi is the other name of Hinamizawa. So, gosh darn it. Oh, I'm barely keeping it together, guys. I'm barely keeping it together. I lost Rika.
お持ち帰り。
I am terrified. Someday, I bet you in one of these stories, we're going to go to Rena's house. And we're going to see just like a terrifying sight there. Because she's scary. I'm terrified to see what she's got in her basement. Getting lost is the only cute because children like Rika can do it. A worn out old man getting lost isn't moe in the slightest. With my mind entertaining dumb thoughts like that, our teacher arrived. Everyone rushed to their seats.
皆さん、おはようございます。
Ohio. Good morning. The class greeting was normal, but the atmosphere in the room was heavy.
すでに聞いている方もいるかもしれませんが、昨日の夜、村長さんが夜遅くになっても、お家に帰ってこなかったのだそうです。
See, that's odd because that sounds like the vanishing pretense, but like it's weird because why would he be targeted? Like, unless again, maybe it's a political thing.
皆さんの中で、昨日村長さんを見た人はいますか？
One or two hands went up in silence, and they told her about they told her about having seen him. None of it seemed to be vital information, however, and everyone began whispering among themselves.
もしも村長さんを見かけた人は、大人の人に教えてあげてくださいね。
I mean, that makes sense.
それでは授業を始めます。
After that, the same old lessons began. The rumors, once quieted, blossomed in flowers again at lunchtime. I could hear a few different conversations. They were mostly related to the mayor's disappearance. Summoning them all up, it came out with this. Yesterday evening, the mayor went to a meeting at the Shrine Assembly Hall. The meeting ended after the sun had fully set and everyone left. The elder's house was a bit far from the center of Hinamizawa. It was already late and Hinamizawa doesn't have a lot of lights outside. Nobody saw the mayor after the meeting. However, because he would have been hungry, he wouldn't have taken any side trips. He would have gone straight home. However, no matter how long the family waited, he never returned. Some thought there might have been an accident. They left no stone unturned. They searched for the irrigation channels to the water wells and even the rice paddies, but didn't find him. Of course, there was a limit to how far they could search in the middle of the night. The police were going to wait for daylight, and they have a young men in town help search. If after all that they still didn't find him, they were apparently even going to look in the mountains. Even now, at the moment, the adults were probably all searching for him. The more they searched in vain, and the more time passed, the only thing that came to mind was the curse. The rumors of the Onikakushi of the demoning away. Had he been this year's sacrifice to Oyoshiro-sama's curse, which had recently been occurring every year? That scary possibility, which everyone thought about but nobody said anything aloud, was slowly but surely spreading throughout the village. Was he demoned away and offered as a sacrifice to quell Oyashiro-sama's anger? My classmates were whispering to each other that the curse didn't happen this year, so there shouldn't have been any sacrifices. That's interesting, though. They're saying nobody died, but 2 people died. I guess that just isn't as common knowledge as it was. Like, last time they tried to kind of suppress it a bit, but it was pretty clear that the villagers knew that someone had died. So this time it being, like, better kept under wraps is interesting. I, on the other hand, I knew. The curse did happen again this year, and there were 2 people that died. This may sound strange, but I hadn't exactly thought the elder would be the one to go missing. My reason was clear. Shion and I should have been a higher priority than him. The 4 of us were thieves who broke the taboo and set foot in the sacred ritual storehouse. If Tomitaka-san and Takano-san had suffered the mysterious deaths, then it should have been me and Shion's turn next.
今度こそ、俺かシオンの番なのに。
Oh, are you saying this out loud, dude? You idiot. I laughed pitifully at myself. I'd yelled at Shion over the phone and didn't want to end up in such a terrifying situation, but now that someone other than me had disappeared, I could only think that I should have been the first to go. Onikakushi, the bottomless swamp, said to have been the place where the drowned sacrifices long ago. Just as it ran through my thoughts, the villagers must have also considered the swamp. Maybe police divers were plumbing its depths even now. They probably wouldn't find anyone. Not a single missing person had ever been found. They'd always suspected Onikakushi, but not once had they ever turned up a corpse from it. After all, it was a devilish, bottomless swamp from which no one who sinks can ever return. I could hear someone telling their friends that in the classroom.
そういえば、サトシさんがいなくなったのも去年の今頃だったね。
Oh, we're hearing about Satoshi real early this time. Huh? Satoshi? I've heard that name before. He was right, he disappeared because of last year's curse. The conversation was happening in the seat next to me, so I could hear it clearly.
サトシさんの時も確かこんな風に村中で探したんじゃなかったっけ？
あれも見つからなかったんだよね。あれって結局どうなったんだっけ？確か鬼隠しじゃなかったんだよね。
I like how they said that deeming away, but Onikakushi, he said the word.
うん。貯金を全部下ろして家出しちゃったんだって聞いたよ。警察の人が名古屋駅で新幹線に乗るところを見た人がいるとか言ってたもん。
Ran away, huh? I wasn't that interested in the reason, which seemed understandable in this case. Everyone else who disappeared had their own reasons too. Either they were still on the run because they were criminals, or they were a corpse that couldn't be found. It's not like any of them suddenly disappeared into thin air for no reason. But they disappeared. Someone disappeared whenever the curse took a life, as if by design. They may have had various understandable reasons, but they still disappeared. From that point of view, it really might have been a demoning away at this time. The mayor's disappearance was the first such incident without a clear reason behind it. Of course, coming to that realization didn't help to resolve anything.
今日は味の加減を間違えちゃったみたいだね。
I mean, again, I've been saying for a while now that I imagined that the killings or the vanishings were mix of, like, getting rid of contentious or disruptive voices and the elimination of political rivals. The mayor being vanished might be the more political side of it. If he was the chosen target, it might be like he was placating too much to outside influences, had maybe insulted somebody, or was just making unpopular decisions and was deemed to be a threat to the community somehow. And so that could explain why he was vanished. For instance, remember how Mion interrogated Keiichi, and she walked away from the conversation saying, like, oh yeah, I see, you weren't involved, I'll tell everyone. I think that might have been because there were suspicions that he had been gone into the warehouse. And so, but like no one was like sure. They knew Tomitake-san and Takano had been involved in that, but they didn't know for sure about Shion and Keiichi. So they like were suspecting, and maybe they had a meeting about the vanishing, about who should be vanished. And the meeting, they determined that they shouldn't target those two, and instead target like maybe they were voting on who to target, And so Mion was able to sway the boat away from Keiichi. That could be it. At least part of it, anyway. That's, I don't know, that's me spitballing there, but maybe that's part of it, because it sounds like Mion was like, she's walking this line where she's wants to perform her duty, but she still likes Keiichi, even if she feels betrayed and like kind of like ignored and dismissed by him. And I think that that's going to be turned around and like used as like a fuel for, you know, jealousy, rage, and just vengeance. But in the moment, I feel like she's still trying to protect him. So that's kind of my read on it.
ごめん。
Normally, Rena's lunch would have been devoured immediately, but today there was still a ton left. That wasn't because Rena's lunch didn't taste good or anything, though.
そんなことありませんのよ。レナさんのお弁当は今日もとっても美味でしたよ。
Satoko dipped her chopsticks into Rena's bento box and pulled out bits of food one after the other.
美味しい美味しい。今日も格別でしたよ。
Oh, that was a little too good of a devour noise.
あれそれかぼちゃのコロッケだよ。大丈夫？
Is she allergic?
レナさんのかぼちゃならとっても美味しいですわ。
Oh, she doesn't like pumpkin. That's right. Did Satoko dislike pumpkin? Regardless, she forced herself to smile and shove more into her mouth. Everyone knew. Nobody's lunch tasted very good today. Satoko kept shoveling it down, repeatedly repeating her remark on how good it was. It's
そんなに
interesting.
うまいなら、俺もいただかないとな。このままじゃ全部サトコに食われちまう。
Satoko, interesting, because like, didn't she have a cousin or or her parents were banished away, or like one was killed and one vanished away? Something. Her family, she basically was orphaned by this curse, whether she believes it was a curse or not. And so it's odd that she's the most chipper person. I feel like she would be the most devastated.
あんまりにも美味しいので、ぜひケイチさんにも召し上がってほしいですわね。
Interpretation, please help.
たまには俺も年上らしい寛大さを見せないとな。よし、遠慮するな。今日は俺の分まで食ってよし。
うわ
She really hated pumpkin, didn't she? That made it all the more touching to see Satoko's own brand of generosity. I grabbed her head and started stroking it. Satoko, in a somewhat exaggerated fashion, was bawling, tears streaming down her face.
嘘だよ。そんなにうまいものを譲るほど大人にはなれないよ。レナも食え。俺のは夕べのおでんの残り物だが、おでんは一晩経ってからがうまいんだぜ。
お大根が綺麗な色に透き通ってて美味しそう。じゃあ、いただこうかな。
Rena reached out with her chopsticks, and at last, the usual lunchtime atmosphere began to return. It was only at our desks, however. The dark tales of Oyashiro-sama's curse, which had reoccurred for 5 years in a row, didn't cease. That's such a huge change from last time. Last time, no one would talk about the curse or acknowledge it at all. Everyone's a really hush-hush about it. And in fact, if you were talking about it, it was getting in trouble, because remember, that's when the police were around. And so they're saying, like, hey, no one would be talking about this stuff. Which, you know, plays into the storyline and everything. It makes a lot of sense, but it's just interesting how that's flipped this time, where everyone in this room is whispering about it. The whole classroom remained stuck in a somber mood. Oyashiro-sama's curse had happened for 5 years straight. Everyone had wanted the previous year to be the last. What was Oyashiro-sama's curse anyway? They were going to build a dam in Hinamizawa? The people building it were bad, so they were cursed. I would admit that much. Still, the dam project was frozen years ago, wasn't it? So why was the curse stubbornly persisting? I hit myself on the cheek to perk myself back up. Everyone was trying so hard to brighten the mood, and I couldn't go straight back to thinking about the curse like that. I forced the grim story out of my head. Driving Oyashiro-sama's curse out of my thoughts was actually a good idea. In the end, it meant that I would I would also be driving away the most terrifying thought of all, that I could be the curse's next target.
しかし、ミオンは遅いな。あいつのお手洗いってこんなに長いのか？
Mion had said she was going to wash her hands and left, and she hadn't come back yet.
多分、どっかでお昼寝してるんだと思う。
Oh, that does sound nice.
昨べはきっと遅くまで村長さんを探すお手伝いをしてたんだと思うから。
I smiled wryly and let out a sigh. Today was no good. However much we tried to lighten the mood, things always came back to the mayor. It was just a no good day. I had just transferred here recently, so the shock of a curse happening 5 years running was an unimaginably big one. Maybe I do need to appreciate that.
村長さんはね、ちっちゃかった頃、みーちゃんのことをすごく可愛がってくれたんだって。
Oh.
いたずら盛りのみーちゃんをすごく可愛がってくれたって、よく話してたな。
Dang. I see. Mion was in shock too. Someone disappearing at all because of a curse is a very scary thing. If the sacrifice was someone you knew, though, then the shock must be 100 times worse. Satoko, if she'd come to the same conclusion, bit her lower lip and looked downward.
そういえば、リカちゃんも遅いな。ひょっとして、リカちゃんも仲良くお昼寝か？
It is weird that both of them are gone.
リカはそんなに遅くまではお付き合いしませんでしたわ。リカがあくびをしたら、皆さんみんなして、おやすみなさいませ、おやすみなさいませ。
Yeah, that sounds like her. Now that she mentioned it, there were a lot of old people rubbing their prayer beads in fervent gratitude towards Rika-chan during the festival, too. An image of an indulgent elderly came to mind. Had Rika-chan discovered a way to get herself to be pampered like that?
リカちゃんって、何気に年寄りのアイドルだな。理想の孫娘像ってやつなのか？
Oh no, it's because she's the inheritor of the priest role. And that's like if they genuinely believe in the curse, even though the curse has been happening, they probably see the Furude priest being the only real person who can keep Oyashiro. Is it Oyashiro? Yeah. I don't know if I'm remembering right, but keep the curse back.
そんなの知らない。でも、リカちゃんのあくびなら見てみたい。きっとね、ふわーって、お持ち帰り。
Kind of weird hearing this music now.
そんなに可愛いとも思いませんけど、ふわーって喉の奥まで覗けるくらいの大あくびでしたよ。リカちゃんの大あくび。
Rena's handy at times like these. I finally managed a heartfelt laugh. Oh, right. I'm on duty today, aren't I? I need to go water the flower garden. The garden's right outside the teacher's lounge, too, so I can immediately tell you if I don't do it right.
リカちゃんのだけじゃなく、さとこちゃんのも可愛いと思うわ。
Uh-oh.
大あくび。窒息。チラッと見えた。可愛いの見えた。さとこちゃんのあくびも可愛い。お持ち帰り。
Oh my gosh. Rena was strangling Satoko, and I don't think that counts as yawning. You know, Rena is... I can't say it out loud, but she's notorious. She's a notorious censored, isn't she? Sweat. What is that supposed to be? Hearing Satoko make a weird noise like a chicken being strangled was kind of hilarious, and I couldn't help but laugh. At some point, the classroom had erupted into laughter too. Maybe Rena was doing it on purpose? Even if she wasn't, this nonsense was a welcome sight. Anyway, let's get over to the flowers so I still have time. Slowly and quietly, lest I destroy the room's newfound peace, I left the classroom. The watering can was hanging up outside the kitchen. This building had originally been an all-male forestry service building, so there was apparently nothing so thoughtful as a garden here before. When they decided to have school share the space, they built one there as a modest gesture of appreciation. But well, the flower bed was a little longer than you'd expect. It went all around. It went all over the place. It was so big one would need to refill the watering can 5 or 6 times to get it all done. I was doing this together with a kid who also, thankfully, on duty today. She was the lowest grade though, a full size smaller than even Rika-chan. I couldn't make a kid who would struggle just to lift a full watering can help me with this. If you were placed on duty, that day duty with someone who liked this sort of thing, they'd do it all for you, so it'd be cake.
悪態をついても仕方ないな。諦めて仕事を始めるか。
Watering can up in hand, just as I was about to leave the building, the old man from the forestry office addressed me.
兄ちゃん、倉庫裏に菜園があるだろ。だいぶくたびれかけったぞ。あそこにも水をやってあげな。
ああ、カレー菜園ですか？
Yeah.
じゃがいもとか人参とか、カレーの具しか栽培してないっていう。
Naturally, the teacher would only allow for a curry garden. It's definitely the personal garden of our curry-loving teacher, but Making students responsible for its upkeep is getting them involved in her personal affairs. By the way, it's kind of funny. I did just have curry for dinner tonight. It was actually really good. Couldn't say that to her face though, so I gave up and decided to carry out my day duties. The sunlight outside out front was strong. The great chorus of cicadas was strongly underlining how nothing was different today than yesterday. I passed by the classroom and didn't know how it happened, but Rena and Satoko were in the middle of a huge melee. What? While I was gone, the kids had arranged all the desks in a circle, forming a ring while everyone was cheering them on. Yeah, that's how it should be. Once school ended, we would need to return to reality, where talk of Elder's disappearance would once again be all over the place. I want everyone to forget about everything and have fun, just like yesterday, if only while they were at school. In that sense, Satoko's whirling elbow and Rena's backward flying spin kick made for a pleasant suck. Why are they in the MMA? Even as a result, they flopped over my desk. Ah, that's my pencil box. God, just let it happen today. I set to work, hastily watering everything, wanting nothing more than to be done as soon as possible. That should about do it. No sooner as I thought that I remembered I had to water the teacher's curry vegetable garden too.
めんどくさいが、やらないと、後でいろいろと不利益なことがありそうな気がする。
And I have a feeling you're finally going to overhear something. It's probably going to be Mion and Rika talking, and you're going to hear something really interesting. I gave up, filled the can with water again, and headed behind the warehouse. It was a place students didn't like to go. It was always damp here, and you couldn't discard the possibility of slugs and pill bugs being around. I understand slugs not being pleasant, but pill bugs are fine, right? They're pretty cool. So when I ran across her in a place like that, I was surprised.
Rika-chanか。驚かせるなよ。
Rika-chan was just standing there like a puppet, devoid of life. I was the only one who was startled here. Rika-chan didn't even seem to react to my appearance.
Rika-chan?
Finally, she noticed me. Her expression was clearly abnormal. There was a red under her eyes, stained with tears and dirt. There was blades of grass stuck in her hair too, like her clothes looked as though she'd fallen to the ground.
Rika-chan! ひょっとして、怪我したのか？転んだとか？
違うのですよ。
What happened? Were you running through the forest?
違うのです。
Rika-chan said the brightest voice she could manage and rubbed her eyes. She didn't look anywhere near normal though.
何があったんだ？まさか倉庫の屋根の上で昼寝とかしてて落ちたとか？
僕のことはいいのです。それよりも、圭一に聞きたいことがあるのです。
Oh no, here we go again. Rika-chan walked over and clung to me. At first I thought she was playing a trick on me. Eventually, however, I realized that it was so that I wouldn't run from the question she was about to ask, and I shuddered.
俺に、なんだよ。
She looked straight into my eyes. Her upturned eyes bored right into me. Here we go. It was as though they were trying to pull the answer out of my own eyes without actually asking me the question. It was scary, so I averted my eyes from her.
圭一、
Oh boy.
お祭りの晩に何か悪いことをしましたか？
Why are you asking? My body gave a jolt from its very core. Rika-chan, who was clinging to me, might have felt my shiver. A nervous tingle crawled up my feet when, after going over my back and freezing my entire body, made my way into my brain.
圭一、本当に覚えはありませんか？
We didn't say anything. My head began to throb. I don't understand anything. Mion asked me. Oishi-san asked me. Shion asked me. And now Rika-chan was asking me. We thought nobody knew about what we did last night, but in fact everyone knew? They all knew, and they came to ask me. Again and again, until I admitted it. When I thought about it, it was pretty clear the whole thing was out in the open. After all, didn't Tomitaka-san and Takano-san's deaths prove it?
圭一、
How should I respond? We never should have entered the Forbidden Storehouse, and even though I regret it so much, was she saying it wasn't enough? However, I had all but decided what I was going to say.
俺もそこが悪いからな。悪いことの覚えが多すぎて見当がつかないよ。
Just as I had with all the others, I evaded the question. Rika-chan stared up at me with innocent eyes. Her eyes were so painful I had to look away. After a few moments of mutual silence, Rika-chan released me.
変なことを聞いてごめんなさいなのです。
I don't know what the right answer here is. I genuinely don't know. I don't think it matters how he answers, but like, maybe it'd be better if he'd been admitting it from the beginning. But maybe not. It just depends.
忘れてくださいなのですよ。
She said, smiling her usual smile. Then, tap tap tap, she went running off as if nothing had happened. As she retreated in silence, I could feel her accusing me.
リカちゃん。
If she didn't hear my voice, then I was going to give up. However, she heard it. Rika-chan swiveled around and waited for me to continue. I was the only one who had questions now. Still, asking any of them could be just half-assed way of admitting what I did.
なあ、リカちゃん。
はいなのです。
If everyone knows anyway, then I should be able to at least ask this, right? Why is everyone asking me about the night of the festival? That evening, had I done something that wrong? I felt plenty sorry about it, and I only looked, anyway. I didn't break anything or steal anything. Really? Still, Tomotaki-san and Takano-san, they died so miserably. Since those two had come to such an end, it's obvious that no way it would forgive me, only me. Rika-chan cutely tilted her head in confusion and waited for me to say something. I feel like he should have, I think he should have said, like, he could say, like, he could be like, people keep asking me if I did anything. Like, there's gotta be a question you can ask that's not implicating himself, but can ask her, like, why would you ask me that? If I were able to admit what happened last night, though, she might suddenly do a 180 as a flipping of a switch. That would make sense. Rika-chan was a shrine maiden. She was the least likely to forgive me for breaking the taboo, wasn't she? Upon reflection, wouldn't telling her be more terrifying than telling Mion or Oishi-san? Rika-chan could just give up and leave, couldn't she? She didn't. She only was quietly waiting for me to say it myself. Say it, Keiichi Maribara. If you really are sorry, then you should say so. Of course, it's normal to hesitate given the crazy way Tomotaki-san and Takano-san died. A pulping machine called Chaos is grinding up my brain. The juice wrung out of it turned into a big droplets of sweat which began to fall.
Keiichi.
Rika-chan suddenly straightened up, trying to pat me on the head.
ケイイチが何を悩んでいるのか、僕にはよくわからないのです。
I had nothing to say to that. I lowered my head a little so Rika-chan's palm could reach it. She patted me, kind of like one would a cat.
境内の裏を少し行ったところに大きな倉庫があるのをご存知ですか？
Oh boy.
西宮殿と言いますです。
My breath literally stopped. Rika-chan, though, wasn't acting in a coercive way at all.
お祭りの晩、その西宮殿に猫さんが入り込んだのだそうです。
猫？
はい、猫さんです。にゃーにゃーなのです。
Uh-huh. Rika-chan knew. She realized I was in fear. I couldn't tell she was desperately trying to choose the right words so that she wouldn't scare me. Man, it sucks that he doesn't have a poker face, but would any of us? Like, really? I like to think, I could lie my way through that, but like, that's the thing is I know I couldn't. I know it because I feel like I wear my emotions on my face to the point where, like, if I'm feeling really emotional, like frustrated or angry or sad, I can try to hide it, or at least in my head I'm trying to hide it, but almost everyone immediately like comes up to me. They know, they're like, hey, what's wrong, or what's going on, or what's on your mind? Like I'm so bad at hiding emotions. I don't know if I could, even if my life depended on it.
猫さんは前から西宮殿の中を探検してみたいと思っていました。
Oh, so this is a reference to Takano, because she always wanted to explore the warehouse.
でも僕が意地悪をして中を見せてあげなかったのです。なので祭りの夜、猫さんは我慢できなくなって中に入ってみましたのです。
The cat. It was clearly supposed to be Takano-san. Or wait, was it supposed to be me? No, it was Takano-san because, like, you didn't know it existed. You couldn't have been wanting to go in.
実は中には猫さんが怖がるものがたくさんあったのです。
Rika-chan made a cute gesture like a ghost was coming out to frighten me.
猫さんはびっくり仰天。一目散に逃げ出して、ガタガタブルブル、ニャーニャーで大変なのです。
Oh gosh.
その猫が、誰だって言うんだ？
A cat.
猫さんは猫さんです。ニャーニャー。
Rika-chan still avoided saying it. The cat, though, was without a doubt me.
リカちゃん、頼む。教えてくれ。その猫さんは、これからどうしたらいい？
Maybe it was a desperate question to ask. I had sort of admitted to being the cat.
猫さんは猫さんですから、ニャーニャー泣いてるだけで大丈夫ですよ。
Interesting. Is that right, though?
大丈夫って、そんないい加減な。
Shh, calm down.
ニャーニャー泣いてるだけではダメなのですか？
Jeez, Rika-chan, I put together an entire conversation using cat as a code word. I didn't say it directly, but I had already admitted it. I didn't want to end up like those two. I didn't want to be a sacrifice like Shion said. That's what I thought, so I stubbornly remained silent. But now, that's enough.
泣いてるだけじゃダメなんだ。猫さんがいたずら心で忍び込んだのを。
犬さん。
そうだ、犬さんなんだ。猫さんのところへ代わる代わるやってきて忍び込んだと。
Oh, I clicked early. After I said that, Rika-chan's expression clouded over. She was trying to hide it, but I already noticed her eyes darkening.
リカちゃん。
The silence was frightening, so I spurred her on. At that point, Rika-chan grinned.
大丈夫ですよ。猫さんは僕が守ってあげます。
Interesting. I really didn't expect the conversation to go this direction. Huh? I thought for a moment that I'd misheard those words, so dependably they were.
猫さんはとても怖がっていますが、本当はそんなに大変なことではないのです。
This actually is oddly comforting. I have a feeling it's not going to stay this way for whatever reason, but I feel like she means that?
何匹かの犬さんがきっと勘違いしてるだけなのだと思います。
そんなに大変なことじゃないって。
猫さんの心配しすぎなのです。僕がきっと何とかしてあげますですよ。
Interesting. But you also don't look like you're doing so great yourself. Rika-chan will do something about it? I don't even know what left for right at the moment, so Rika-chan didn't look all that dependable.
ちょっと大変ですけど、頑張りますですよ。
Aww.
ファイト、オーなのです。
She clenched her fist and stuck in the air. Rika-chan said that the cat can just keep meowing. She said to leave it all to her. Is that really all it took to resolve this whole thing?
本当にリカちゃんで大丈夫なのか？
僕が頑張らないと、犬さんも大変なことになってしまうかもしれないのです。
Oh, like what? I had no idea what Rika-chan was thinking about anymore. She had been talking to me under the assumption I was aware of certain things. Though at first I understood her. Around the middle, though, I stopped understanding anything. However, one thing I did know was, to not worry, leave it to her. Rika-chan straightened up once again, patted me on the head, and smiled. Now, the next thing you say is can I help with anything? I was so moved by that reassuring feeling, I couldn't help but start to cry.
ごめん。猫さんも本当にちょっとしたいたずらのつもりだったんだ。こんなことになるなんて全然。
猫さんは臆病すぎです。だから見せたくなかったのです。
She was right. It was far too shocking for someone to see based on a little bit of interest alone. That was why they made it so difficult to look in the first place, wasn't it?
リカちゃん、その猫さんはどうなるんだろう。忍び込んだ2匹の猫さんが、
Oh boy.
あの晩に。
You shouldn't have said two. I'd heard Tomitaka-san and Takano-san's deaths were being kept a secret. Rika-chan might not have known about it.
富武と高野ですか？
I gave a start to the sudden motion of actual names. Though it's weird to do at this point.
忘れると良いのです。
My spine froze again.
忘れる？
はい、あの二人のことを思い出すことは、圭一にとって良くないことなのです。 考えれば考えるほど怖くなるだけです。だから早く忘れた方がいいのです。
She said something so enormously terrifying without letting that smile of her face waver at all.
どこで聞いたかわかりませんが、きれいさっぱりお風呂でゴシゴシするみたいに忘れちゃうと良いのですよ。
I mean, she's kind of right. If he could do that, it's his ticket to freedom.
忘れるって言ったって、リカちゃんは知ってるんだろう。
Shh, Keiichi, stop. Listen to her.
あの二人がどういう死に方を。
Man, this kid can't shut his mouth.
どんな死に方をしても、それは圭一とは関係のないことなのです。
Rika declared this in a flat voice. Nothing to do with me. So forget about it. The girl before me, she was innocent and lovable, and even seemed trustworthy, but suddenly she took on another dimension. Don't get involved with their deaths. I'll help you, Keiichi. Those two contradictory statements twisted and distorted in my image of the girl in front of me.
シオンは
Shh, why?
あいつはどうなるんだ。
It might have been dangerous to mention Shion's name, but I couldn't stop myself from asking. Rika-chan saw through everything anyway. There was no way I was going to fool her or keep anything from her at this point. That's fair. I do think that's pretty fair.
姉妹猫の妹ですか？
Sister cats.
にゃーにゃー。
そうだ、妹猫だ。
Rika-chan appeared to think upon this for a moment. It was hard for me to endure even the momentary silence.
姉猫は怒ってます。
Yeah.
妹猫が悪いことをしたので、とても怒ってます。
Uh-huh.
姉猫って。
That could only mean Mion. I recalled being questioned by her yesterday.
圭一、姉猫はとても機嫌が悪いです。しばらくの間、そっとしてあげてほしいなのです。
I agree. Not in a good mood. Those words sent a shiver through me. Mion was mad. She was mad that we entered the ritual storehouse.
今日から部活はなしにしましょう。
なんでだよ。
そっとしてあげてほしいからなのです。
Oh, this is interesting. This is showcasing potentially a rift between Rika and Mion, where like Mion's doing stuff or saying things that Rika doesn't like, and they're at odds. Rika-chan ended her sentence with such force I couldn't say anything in response. Hey, Keiichi Maribara, don't disobey Rika-chan right now. She's the only one who said she'll help me right now. I'll leave things to her just as she said to. Honestly, yeah, I would. I'd be like, you know what? Wash your hands. We're just gonna pretend nothing's happening, right? I mean, she even said that the cat should just keep meowing. I'll forget everything, like she said. I'll just leave everything to her. I'll forget everything about Takano-san, Toмотaka-san, and what I did that night. Just then, we heard the bell far away, making the end of our lunch break.
じゃあ校舎に戻ろうか。
圭一、
As if she'd noticed how miserable I was, about to leave everything to her and flee the scene, Rika-chan called out to me to stop.
勘違いの犬さんが猫さんに噛みつこうとしたら知らせてくださいね。
Oh boy. The misunderstanding dog. She put it in such a cute sounding way, but the true meaning behind those words was an eerie one.
勘違いの犬さんってなんだ。
村長を噛んだ犬さんです。
Holy crap!
どうして村長を噛んだのか、僕にはわかりません。
So basically she's saying that the mayor was vanished, but she doesn't understand why. That's interesting.
噛むなら、いたずら猫さんを先に噛むはずなのにです。
Wait, is that me or Shion? The flow of blood in my body felt like it completely stopped for a moment. Rika-chan had admitted it. The sacrifice of the terrible calamity? She admitted that if they were to happen again, it would be Shion or I. This, I didn't know what was true about the girl standing before me. My suspicion gave way to fear and nearly began to change into anger. Was she a savior who would protect me? Or a stranger trying to capture and kill me for the sake of a horrible tradition? I had no idea what was true.
ごめんなさいなのです。猫さんが怖がっているのに、また怖がるようなことを言ってしまいました。ごめんなさいなのです。
Rika-chan bowed so quickly it looked like her head had been pulled downward. Still, she was right. I was cowering. I could distinctly feel my body shaking violently. So when Rika-chan reached her hand out to pat my head, I pulled away without thinking.
あ、
ごめん。
Rika-chan made a very sad face, but I just couldn't bring myself to put out my hand to her again. Alright. I think we will stop here. Again, I was saying at the beginning, these chapters get longer. And so we have like the end of this day and tips to do. And I feel like there's going to be a lot that's going to happen between now and then. But a lot here's just happened, so maybe we stop here for now and just digest for a bit. Okay, so compared to where we were chapter 1 at this time of the story, this is around the time when we were told basically, hey, don't talk to the police, don't talk to any strangers outside of town. Immediately got pulled into a car with a cop, had a conversation with him, and people saw that we did. That's when the target really got painted on our backs, is because it seemed like we were cooperating with the outsiders. That makes a lot of sense. This time, somehow, word is pretty much immediately out that the four of us went into the storehouse. Retribution was immediately taken on Tomitake-san and Takado because it probably was pretty clear that they were the instigators. Maybe someone was involved right from the beginning with us who knew. In fact, what if Shion was Mion the whole time? That doesn't quite work though, because it's implying that Mion is mad at Shion. And so, but like the thought there was that if it was Mion the whole time, then there were only 3 perpetrators. Takano, Tomitake-san, and us. So immediately they get bam, taken out, right? But then, if that were the case, Mion would have spared us and we shouldn't be in any danger right now. But why would she go after the mayor? It's implying there's a lot of stuff going on here that's not great. So, and there's other oddities that are happening right now too. Rika confirmed that the dog, whoever the dog is in this scenario, went after the mayor and she doesn't know why. She even admitted that the dog should have gone after the trickster cats, which would have been us or Shion. But instead they went for the mayor. We don't know why. We know Mion said she was going to direct things, but she's also mad. And the thing is, mad might be like upset, but it also could also mean the crazy. Maybe she's losing it and being irrational. And that's why the decisions that were being made, like going after the mayor, seems odd or at odds. But then we also saw a glimpse of like the grandma, Mion's grandmother, kind of encouraging the hunt for the mayor, which she's supposed to be the actual head of the like organized family, right? So if she ordered the hit on the mayor, why would she be organizing a search for the mayor? Maybe to plant the fear? I guess that's a good tactic. If you vanish somebody and then get the town involved in the search, it could encourage these rumors of the curse and again kind of solidify this power base you have through fear, confusion, and misdirection. But again, it's just weird that they would even go to that point to show us that like she was ordering for the search of the mayor. It's really confusing. It's really cool though. Like I like this chapter a lot more so far because I have the foundation of understanding from the first chapter. It's letting us explore more of the intricate potential politicking that's going on, the motivations behind like issues, and also some of the diversity. Because that first chapter, everyone felt unified against us, right? Like it felt like everyone was against us except for Oishi, and even then he wasn't that helpful. And that's part of what made it so crazy and so hard. It was isolating. Here, it feels like we have Shion, and now like Rika seems to also be on our team. And Rika seems to know everything, and yet she's still saying like, look, I'll try and protect the cat. I'll try and protect you. That's something. That's a lot more than we had last time. It makes me feel a lot less isolated as a viewer since I get so immersed in these stories. So that's interesting. And then the dog. it could be Mion, but she talked about the dog being different than Mion herself. So it could be a different individual. Maybe there's a different person who actually does the hits. Like, it's not like Mion might be someone who coordinates and orchestrates some of the actions, but she like tells a certain person to go after people to vanish them, like a designated sacrificer or chef or whatever. And like, that's the dog, whoever that is. Oh, that's so interesting. I'm really, really interested to see how this plays out. I imagine it's going to be way more horrifying than chapter 1, but because I kind of see a bit better where this is probably going, it's giving me enough clues that I can really contemplate lots of different potential scenarios and ways that this could play out. I'm really curious to see if Rika can get caught up in it, because it almost feels like she would be immune, considering she's like the priest, like the next in line to be the priest. But if she's going to go at odds with Mion, it could erupt into a power struggle, kind of like echoing the old power struggles of the families back in the day. And how could that manifest? Because what if Rika gets targeted next? Like, after telling us that she like would protect us, what if she suddenly like vanished? Then like, what happens then? I don't think she will, though. Like, I feel like she's got basically a get out of jail free card because of her role, but I just don't know. I don't know what that would like look like. It'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how this all plays out, but I'm excited. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. Your support has been wonderful. I always look forward to reading your comments and your thoughts and hearing what you think. I did a lot of kind of speculation this episode, so that'll be fun. Obviously, no spoilers, please, again, but I trust you for that, obviously. But I hope you enjoyed, like, at least hearing kind of where I'm at and where my theories are, and that this isn't too rough of a break for the channel. Because like, the one thing that could happen is it could wrap up a lot faster. Most of the time, it'll do like going home activities, after school activities, and then like kind of some kind of storyline or conversation with people, and then the tips. So I imagine there's still a good amount of content left for this chapter, but they could have it be faster than I expect. And that's going to happen. I'll at least try and shoot for 45 minutes long kind of a thing. But yeah, I think this is a good place to end it, just because it just feels like we've got a lot to think about here. And if we just start going further, we're just going to be given a lot more to think about. And so it might be better to break it up. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you all had a great time, and I hope you're ready for another week of content. But until the next video, watch me or see me in next. I'll see you there.